American football, the epitome of a man's game. From the 1920s up through the 50s, the grit and grime of the gridiron was widely popular at the college and high school levels. Professional football, on the other hand, seemed to be dwarfed by the juggernaut that was Major League Baseball, who was in the middle of its golden age. Even the formation of the National Football League in 1923 could not allow pro football to compete with baseball. A major turning point in the history of the NFL was the 1958 NFL Championship game played between the Baltimore Colts, quarterbacked by prodigy Johnny Unitas, and the New York Giants, coached by two of the greatest coaches ever, Vince Lombardi and Tom Landry. The Colts' decisive 23-17 victory in overtime not only earned this game the nickname the greatest game ever played, but also marked the point that football surpassed baseball as America's favorite sport. When Pete Rozelle took the office of NFL Commissioner in 1960, he needed to capitalize on America's newfound craving for the game. At the time, professional football games aired only on Sunday afternoons, and the telecasts appealed only to football-loving men. They were primitive, simply sticking a single camera high above the 50-yard line and oscillating with the progression of the ball. The black and white games were announced by a two-man crew, a play-by-play announcer, as well as a color commentator, whose job was to analyze the action on the field between plays. Both men spoke as if they were in a cathedral. This boring, dreary way of broadcasting attracted few viewers who cared not for the game. After it was announced in 1966 that the NFL and AFL would merge starting in the 1970 season, Rozelle knew that the new NFL would be a powerhouse, and therefore have more potential primetime appeal than any other sport. There was much skepticism surrounding primetime football, however, sparked by the infamous Heidi Bowl of 1968, when millions of football-watching Americans missed a great comeback of the Oakland Raiders over the New York Jets because NBC cut to the children's movie Heidi at 7 p.m. sharp. Nonetheless, Rozelle had his mind set on primetime football. Now we needed a night that could work. Friday and Saturday nights were out of the question because they were dominated by high school and college football respectively. Despite the fact that there have been several experiments with professional football on Monday nights, with low ratings ensuing, it was the only night left. At first, Rozelle thought Monday Night Football would flop because CBS and NBC both turned down offers to televise it. A desperate Rozelle then turned to the president of ABC Sports, Roone Arledge, to televise 14 attractive games in color starting in the 1970 season. Arledge's primary goal for Monday Night Football was universal appeal. As half of the American television viewing audience was women, they would be pivotal for ratings. The key to this widespread appeal would be finding entertaining announcers. From day one, Arledge knew his main man in the booth would be notable boxing announcer and critical New York columnist Howard Cosell.
Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier!
Cosell immediately accepted the job. Nabbing Cosell would not be the issue, however. The real issue would be finding people to work with the egotistical New Yorker. Arledge looked to former New York Giants halfback, close friend, and participant in the '58 NFL Championship game, Frank Gifford. Gifford declined the offer, however, because he still had one more year left on his CBS contract, but claimed he would be available for the '71 season. Gifford recommended Don Meredith, the former quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, famous for his performance in the Ice Bowl of 1967. The optimistic, charismatic Texas boy would provide excellent contrast with the sarcasm of Cosell. The plan was set. Cosell and Meredith would be the color commentators, and after searching far and wide, Arledge found his proxy for Gifford, NCAA play-by-play announcer Keith Jackson. The thought of a three-man announcing team as opposed to a two-man seemed unfathomable, but the American football viewing audience would soon find out that far more unorthodoxy was yet to come. 9 p.m. Eastern Time on September 21st, 1970, is the moment that shall forever be remembered as professional football's ascent from its dark age. The Cleveland Browns hosted the New York Jets in front of a sellout crowd of over 85,000 at Municipal Stadium. The action on the field was great, but the action off it was even better. Entertainment is what Arledge sought and is what he received. Cosell and Meredith would playfully argue between Jackson's play-by-play. Arledge's producer, Chet Forty, was a genius when it came to visual appeal. As opposed to 3 or 4 tree-like cameras standing high above the 50, Forty used 11 or 12 cameras to capture the game from multiple angles, including 2 portable cameras to capture the players on the sidelines. After the Browns 31-21 defeated the Jets, everyone knew Monday Night Football was here to stay. 1/3 of the television viewing audience tuned into the inaugural Monday night telecast. Critics raved, companies flocked to ABC in order to buy ad space, and Howard Cosell became the most hated and loved figure in American popular culture. Arledge Forty and the announcing crew took the Gothic style of televising football and completely shifted the continuum. Color, dozens of different camera angles, 3 announcers, and, above all else, entertainment off the field. The rest of the 1970 Monday Night Football season rolled, each week earning around a share of 35, meaning 35% of the television viewing audience tuned in, and Meredith, nicknamed Dandy Don by Cosell, won an Emmy for Best Performance in Sports Programming. Despite the harsh criticism surrounding Jackson's release in favor of Gifford in 1971, the show took off. The best trio since the Three Musketeers had fantastic, almost telepathic chemistry between them.
Where'd Don go?
Well, he's human.
Oh, here he is.
But here he is. How's it going?
The attractiveness of the game seemed to be dwarfed by the attractiveness of the atmosphere. Celebrities were often brought on for interviews. Meredith became a heartthrob for women nationwide. Cosell remained the man America loved to hate. In fact, at one bar, patrons chipped in to buy a television. Then cast lots, and whoever won had the honor of throwing a brick at Cosell when he came on screen. Gifford, along with Meredith, engaged in antics during breaks and action. All this quality entertainment seemed to register with the American people. For the 1971 season averaged a household rating of 17.9, meaning 17.9% of all households with televisions tuned in. Society catered to the Monday night game. Bowling leagues nationwide switched to Tuesday nights. PTAs were rescheduling Monday meetings. Many restaurants closed on Monday nights, and those that did not were down 25%. Women, which were an astounding 40% of the audience, wrote letters to ABC thanking them for saving their marriage. A college in Miami offered a course for women called Understanding and Enjoying Monday Night Football. New York cops said the crime rates on Monday nights were down 16% because there were fewer out to commit them. Movie theaters offered cheap tickets and free snacks in order to cope with the vast drops in attendance. A Seattle hospital even attempted to ban births between the hours of 7 and 10 p.m. on Monday nights. ABC was making a hefty profit off Monday Night Football, charging advertisers $65,000 per minute in the early 70s. From the mid-70s on, Monday Night Football became a powerhouse, destroying any show that dared try to compete with its 9 p.m. to midnight time slot. Popular NBC and CBS shows were being moved to new time slots in order to preserve ratings. The most popular game ever was on December 2nd, 1985, when the 12-0 Chicago Bears, considered by many to be the greatest team in NFL history, had their perfect season spoiled by Dan Marino's Miami Dolphins. Drawing a rating of 29.6 over 46, it was 4.5 times as popular as the season finale of American Idol, the most watched show of 2012. That same season, Hall of Fame linebacker Lawrence Taylor ended the prosperous career of Super Bowl winning Redskins quarterback Joe Theismann. But perhaps the most memorable moment in Monday Night Football history had nothing to do with football at all, nor was it entertaining. It came on December 8, 1980, when Howard Cosell announced to the world that John Lennon had been assassinated.
Yes, we have to say it. Remember, this is just a football game, no matter who wins or loses. An unspeakable tragedy confirmed to us by ABC News in New York City. John Lennon, outside of his apartment building on the west side of New York City, the most famous perhaps of all of the Beatles, shot twice in the back, rushed to Roosevelt Hospital, dead on arrival.
By 1998, all 3 of the original announcers had left the show. Before cable television became popular in the 2000s, Monday Night Football was unmatched on Monday nights. Monday Night Football moved to ESPN before the 2006 season, which is set to pay the NFL an astounding $1.1 billion annually in order to telecast it. The 70s were a time of change, and televised football was no exception. The perfect balance between sports and entertainment that Monday Night Football brought is still prevalent today. The Super Bowl, for example, draws its 100 million plus viewers because it is as much entertainment as it is sports. It changed the way people lived on Monday nights. In fact, 8 of the most watched telecasts ever on Monday nights have been on Monday Night Football, and statistically, it is the most successful regularly scheduled show in television history.
It's over, and tomorrow and next year starts the same old thing again.